Who said it couldn't be done? This book candidly chronicles one woman's journey from Chicago's West Side, involving poverty, incest, drug addiction, incarceration, and lesbianism, to sobriety, spiritual redemption, and inner peace. This is the story of Denise Jones. This is her pain.
My name is Annie Freeman, and I was reared up on the west side of Chicago. And as a child coming up, my mother would send me, my sister, and brother to my father's house on the weekend after they got out of school. And during the course of that time going to my father's house, I was molested by my father about the age of 4 to 5 years old.
All I knew was pain. And as I think back, my earliest memory of pain is when my mother first pierced my ears. Then it went from there to being molested by my grandfather, my cousin, my uncle, some of the friends of the family. Again, all I knew was pain.
But even after that, in my life, I just went on having another child after that one, another one after that one, till I ended up with 5 children. And by me having 5 children, I moved out from my mother's house into the projects over on the west side of Western, Rockwell Garden. It's where me and my oldest daughter, Denise, it was like we was growing up together, along with her sisters and brothers, like we was all sisters and brothers.
I moved with my mother at the age of 11, soon to be 12 years old. Entering her household, to me, it was a happy home, glad to see my mother, glad to be with my mother. The house was beautiful. We had food, clothing, pretty much everything that I thought that I wanted as a child.
But our life had got altered because I had begun to start drinking, ripping and running the streets. Was an unfit mother, didn't know how to stay at home with my children.
Began to do drugs, having all types of strange people coming in and out of the house. I watched her as she shot drugs. I watched her as she OD'd. She began to send me on the west side of Chicago, 16th Street, Holman, Ogden, Kedzie, to pick up drugs for her.
And when it all boiled down, my children ended up raising up each other. And after that, my life just went on down the drain. And it left my oldest daughter, Denise, walking in my footsteps, doing everything that I was doing.
One day she sent me to pick up some drugs. I said to myself, I'm gonna see why my mother is doing what she do. I took 2 bags of drugs out and I shot the drugs. I knew where her needles were. I knew where the cooker was. She taught me how to do this because I watched her. And at the age of 12 years old was the first time that I shot my bag of drugs. And she had no idea that I had started IV drug using. She would take me hustling, teach me how to pop hubcaps, going in and out the store, stealing, walking in, putting on, new clothes, walking out the store with these clothes on so that she can sell them in order to take care of her habit. So she didn't have any idea that I was IV drug using. It was a whole year later when she come into the dope house in Rockwell Garden and found me in the washroom with a needle in my arm.
And when I see how my friends or however would take Denise and have Denise getting high with them or however, wherever I would see it and catch Denise, I would walk up to them and pull a 38 out. I was ready to blow their brains out. Hey, that was my child. And regardless of how my life was out there, my one thing, do not mess with my children.
Well, the first time I seen her, she was at this bar that we all hung out at, And she was standing up against the wall looking like a dude, and we was all checking out, and they was like, "That's a boy." I was like, that's not a boy, that's a girl, because I could tell the way her, girl's chest is. Even if they bind down, I can still tell,
Annie. And she said, "Well, did you talk to my daughter?" I said, "Well, I didn't see your daughter." She said, "Yeah, my daughter came in. She's back in her room." I'm like, "No, I saw a man come in. I didn't see her daughter. I didn't see your daughter, And she said, "Yeah, that was my daughter." I'm like, "Oh my God, what have I got myself into?" I'm like, "Man, she looked dangerous."
I began to burglarize. I began to stick up. I began to play paper and, doing certain things that led me to Cook County Jail. And at that time, I thought it was a game because I used to hear, different people say that you need to go to the penitentiary, get an X on your back and show that you macho, you all this, you in the game. Well, little did I know that was not the case. Being behind those bars, partially it was a lifesaver. The other part of it is I learned new game.
She was a pimp, She pimped women. And most of the women up there, they was hookers, drug addicts. Most of them was on drugs. A lot of them was up there because, when you don't have money, you do what you can to feed your family.
So really my life just began to dwindle. It just began to go down. There was no growth, no education, any of that. So all I knew once coming out of jail was to result back to the things that I had learned.
But that's more or less the first time I seen her, and then I seen her times after that, but she wasn't nothing nice, so she wasn't my type to hang out with or anything, even though we was all in the life, And she was a bad girl.
He hollering and going on. I lay up there half asleep. And she done laid there and she done took everybody's furniture out the building and brought it in our house. Yes.
Stealing the food stamps out
Stealing
the
the
mailbox.
food stamps out the mailbox. In reality, I think Denise taught me a little of the streets. I mean, I was scandalous, but not like Denise. Oh, you'll just walk up there and just do anything.
And this particular day, I saw some of my sister friends, and I asked them to take me out west on Cicero and Jackson. I wanted to go out and get some more pills and some syrup. While in the car, I went into a nod because I was already high. And I heard them in my nod saying, "Man, she thinks she a man. We're gonna rape her, kill her, and throw her behind Brock's Candy Company. We're gonna show her that we the men." And they came to a stop. God brought me out of my nod. I opened this car door and I jumped out and I started running. One of the men got out and started to chase me. The other man was bagging the car up so that they can get me caught in between. And I remember saying, before I let a man rape me, I will kill myself. So in the midst of me running, all I heard in my mind, I would kill myself, I would kill myself. And I was running. I saw this building and I jumped through this window. As I jumped through the window and ran up on a landing, I was standing in a pool of blood. I literally felt my life leaving my body. I was holding my hand in my other hand because it was hanging off. My arms were cut open. My head was cut. My shoulder were cut. People come out their apartment and began to put towels on me. And I stood there and I felt my life leaving. And I was saying, "Lord, if you spare my life this time, I'll live for you. God, I'll live for you. I won't do this no more. Just spare my life." And I passed out. I remember waking up at Loretta Hospital. And they were asking me, they said, "What is your name? What is your phone number?" And all I could do was muffle out my number, but I had DJ written on my arm and cash written across my knuckles. And they called my mother and this was July 10, 1980, and told her to go to the county to identify me because there was nothing that they could do for me. My mother went in shock. She couldn't make it to the hospital because she was pregnant with my little brother. I recall waking up in Cook County Hospital where they had immediately started to stitch me up and giving me blood. When I looked at myself, I was all bandaged up, and the nurse told me that they had to stitch me, and I received 183 stitches. I lay there and I thought about, I wish I had died, because I was tired of going through the pain. I was tired of feeling like a loser. I was tired of feeling like that there was no way out. I said, I wish I had died. Why did you allow me to live? Once I got out the hospital, I went and located one of my friends. I was all bandaged up. I told her, I said, man, let's get high. What made me say that I would kill myself is because in my home with my mother, all I observed was her having weekend parties, orgies all weekend long. I seen men where they were having sex with women and they were dogging her and she would be crying. So in my mind, I took it that men were nothing but dogs and they were pain. I didn't want to have anything to do with the men. That was a part of my turning point to go into the homosexual lifestyle, living as a man for over 15 years, because I felt that men had the power. So if I can live as a man, I can have power also.
And like I was saying, how bad she was, a lady liked her and the lady wanted to be with her, and she made this lady leave her handicapped child and her husband. She had about 4 children. And she made that girl leave her family to be with her, and she did.
She began to cook up the dope and took the needle and stuck it in my foot and began to shoot heroin in. And I just began to go into one of my nods and saying, wow, no more pain. I don't have to think about it. Never a day that went by that I didn't get high. Shooting heroin, smoking crack cocaine, dropping pills, drinking syrup. And I recall sitting in my mother's garage in 1986. I had went and copped some heroin and cocaine, and I was sitting there, I was smoking. Then I began to top and start shooting. As I took the needle to put it in my arm, I missed a hit. I went back and found another hit, and as I pushed in, it began to shoot out like a water fountain. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, I can't keep living like this. I can't keep doing this. Man, gotta be something better than this. What else can I do? Where else can I go? I'm tired of this. Day in, day out. You know, this is all that I got. Drugs, women, women, hustling. All I'm sitting here thinking about is all the pain that I have endured in my life. If I could just give me one more shot, one more hit, you know, I can just wipe away all this pain. I don't have to think about it. It was a temporary fix. But nothing didn't happen that day. So I said, wow, man, let me go over here and see what God could do for me. Let me go over here and see what they're talking about. I went to the Way of Holiness Mission, and I sat there and I began to hear this elder begin to talk about, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to continue to let your life go down like that. That God loves you. You don't have to stay in this condition. All you have to simply do is just give God your life. And as I sat there and I thought on that thing and I pondered on that thing, I was in a battle, in a war. I don't want this. I don't want to live for no God. I ain't trying to hear what these people talking about, because I was dope sick. But I sat there and I listened, and my heart began to just pull toward what he was talking about. And when they opened up and said, is it anyone? I stood to my feet and I went. And I just simply lifted up my hands and said, yes, you can have my life. Hey, the streets had it, the women had it, the drugs had it. What else did I have to lose? This was a good thing for me. I gave my life. Before I walked off that altar, I can remember Elder Mosey saying, Denise, come here. He stretched out his arms and just took me in his arms and held me and began to say, I love you. Things are going to get better. You don't have to stay like this. I felt something down on the inside just begin to break. It was something that I had been looking for and longing for all the time. To know that I can change, that I don't have to continue to do the things that I was doing. I will never forget that day, never really having a father in my life. My grandfather molested me. My uncles molested me. My cousins molested me. Never really had someone to really tell me that they love me. And just to know that this man didn't know nothing about me, didn't want anything from me, didn't want my body. All he offered to me was love. And I felt that down on the inside. From that day to this day, he has been nothing but a father figure to me. He was there. When I went and achieved my GED in 1993, I recall standing in the line, asking my friend as we marched in, is my father here? Is my father here? She said, not yet. As I walked in the door, she touched me. She said, Denise, your father is here. Your father's here. A big smile just broke out over my face. That he didn't let me down. That he was not like all the other men that had come across in my life. A big smile just broke out over my face. And he hugged me and told me that he loved me. From that day to this day, he has been in my life. He has been pushing me. He has been standing behind me in my every endeavor. So for that, I truly want him to know that I love him. I appreciate everything that he has done for me in my life as being that spiritual confidant, that spiritual father figure, even though he was not my biological father, but he walked in the shoes as such. And I want him to know that I truly love him. But when I saw my mother for the first time looking like a woman, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. I was just truly excited for once in my life, I can really have my mother.
And it was like everything I believe that Denise seen me do, and because she wanted to be with me and wanted me to be home. So I believe she feel that if she can keep up with me and doing what I was doing, that was her opportunity to be with me. So after I got my life together and however, and Denise began to watch, and when I looked around, Denise came on with me. And she began to allow God to do something for her.
To know that she's no longer dirty old, and I didn't have to be a DJ no more. I didn't have to shoot dope no more. I didn't have to stick up. I didn't have to lay with women. I didn't have to burglarize apartments and breaking into cars and stealing cars, and just to see that all the things that me and my mother done together, saw that she changed her life, that was my first step to hope.
And during that time, it was like Denise had stopped wearing pants and her whole appearance had begun to change. That mannish look that she had, all of that. It took a day by day process. And like that process is still working.
Now that I have embarked up on this new lifestyle of laying down DJ and picking up Denise, I must really say, this transformation has really, really been something. To lay down DJ, that entailed me laying down the women, laying down the suits, the shoes, the hats, all the way down to the fruit of balloon draws, of thinking that I was a man. There are some other things that I would love to say, but you're going to have to get that in the book. Who said it couldn't be done? So taking on this new lifestyle, learning how to put on stockings, a bra, dresses, heels, I felt like I was just to even think about it. I thought I was a drag queen, because I thought I was a man.
She used to wear pants, boys' clothes, men clothes. And when she got saved, she started wearing dresses, And sometimes people, they don't beat and change, And so when I came into her life after she got saved, I was trying to see if she changed, So I hit on her. I hit on her and I tried, but she was God had her. So, I'm cool with that, I'm cool with that.
It was unbelievable. Even right now today, when I see some of my past friends, what they do is they look at me from my foot to my head. They say, if she's still in that dress, I know she's still with the Lord. If she back in them pants, watch out, streets, because she is something else.
I mean, I can lay down and sleep around her now. I mean, I have confidence in her. I have trust in her. And she's a beautiful person now.
Once I got my GED, things began to look up. And through all the encouragement, through all the support, I was inspired to go back and get my bachelor's degree that I obtained from National Louis University. From that, being in a ministry where we're taught to excel, to reach high, to aim high, go as far as you can go, that God would allow you to go, I should say. I went on to get my master's degree. Through that, God has blessed me to write this book titled, Who Said It Couldn't Be Done? And the reason why this book was written was to share all the pain, all the hurt that I had endured as a child, in my early teens, and in my early adulthood.
Beautiful. I mean, we worked together and we did it all in the streets. As you said, sticking up, shooting drugs together, breaking in houses. It didn't make no difference what it was. And now we together working for God. So beautiful.
Truly, 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 I am truly grateful to be able to stand here before you today. And as I sat and listened to my mother talk about her pain and the things that she has been through, I want to just reflect back on my earliest remembrance of pain. And at one point, I thought my pain started when I first got my ears pierced. But now as I sat there, God said, no, that was not your earliest remembrance. Your earliest remembrance is in the womb.
In spite of all the obstacles, Annie Freeman and Denise Jones grabbed onto a seed of hope. Fighting through deep insecurity and inferiority, drug addiction, and role confusion that tormented them for many years. Often they wondered if they were a boy or a girl, if they were human or animals. But now they live on as a diamond from the rough, hoping to inspire many that hear their story and their journey of who said it couldn't be done.
I even want TV One to pick this thing up because this story is so powerful, and I invite you all in to pick up Who Said It Couldn't Be Done.
If you want to change, you can change, Someone else hearing her story, they can change, because the lifestyle that she was in, it could only lead to death or a lifetime in jail.